Greetings everyone, this is Connor from Dagoro TV, and this is another Shadow of War video that's been released. It's an IGN first, it's a Shadow of War Minas Ithil gameplay walkthrough on IGN, like I said before. The full link for it is in the description below. I'm going to be going through it, dissecting the full thing, covering it basically, and doing what I did before, but basically going to go through the full video because last time the whole huge siege that we got with the 16-minute thing, I just wanted to break down the bits that we haven't seen before. But this is a short video, so I'm going to go through this, talk about some stuff that's been discussed in another interview as well with Michael and the creative director, talking about the creation of Minas Ithil, and I'll be talking about that. And then at the end of the video, be giving my thoughts about how I think the game's coming along, what I think of this video in particular, and so on and so forth. So let's get straight into it.
Hi, I'm Mike DePlata from Monolith Productions, and today we're extremely excited to give you a first look at the Gondorian city of Minas Ithil, which is under siege from the Dark Lord's forces.
So, Minas Ithil, what we've got right here. This is, if you didn't know, Minas Ithil is Minas Morgul. That's what becomes to be Minas Morgul. It's the last city of Gondor on the Mordorian borders. So this is the first time we're actually going out of Mordor in the Shadow of Mordor games, and we're going into Gondor in the Middle-earth games, and being able to go through the city. And what we've talked about in this other video is that it's not just the city that's explorable as well. We also get in these mountain terrains to be able to go around outside, and a small area outside as well, which leads to a passage which goes to Cirith Ungol, which is basically a fortress, which sometimes actually gets mistaken with Minas Morgul or Minas Ithil, but is actually a separate fortress inside Mordor, and will be under Mordorian control at the time we play this game. So this is going to be the start of the game, Minas Morgul, this city here. They say they wanted to have, in a separate video, a city basically under siege as a way, an epic start to the game that we kind of experience in these epic battles in the Lord of the Rings films. You'll know Minas Morgul, if you don't really know Lord of the Rings, as the city where Frodo, Sam and Gollum are about to go up the stairs to Shelob's lair, and you see the massive army pouring out, and it's really gloomy and scary. And that's what this becomes. As you can see, the moon tower here is very similar to what we see, is just the different colours and different hues. And it looks more bright, looks more sunny than because we're in a different period of time before all this kicks off.
We need to do something. Taking out the captain should buy the Gondorians some time.
And they could lead us to the Palantir.
So you just heard that. He says, Celebrimbor said to Talion, this is obviously roughly the start of the game, obviously getting the first missions where it's leading us into getting the Nemesis system again. Kind of what new games in the series do when you have familiar techniques and tactics where you've got to basically use the Nemesis system to find out who the captains are, but Celebrimbor said we have to find a Palantir. And the Palantir, if you didn't know, are the Seeing Stones, what Sauron used when he was in the Second Era, or the Second Age, where he was in mass control. He used these to contact the people who had the Nine Rings and be able to talk to them over broad distances. And the Palantir, we see, actually, Saruman has one in Isengard in the first Lord of the Rings, and the second one in the extended edition of the films he throws off if you haven't read the books or anything like that. These are something as well that that captured Pippin as well in the films and the books, where he's able to see into Sauron's plan, and he thinks that leads to Gandalf and Pippin to go to Minas Tirith. So that's the thing that we've got here. It's the actual power of Sauron. That's something that he uses and manipulates, and that's who the enemy of the game is. So we were able to basically infer it here. We were able to get these Palantirs. That's what the aim of the game is at this early stage, to basically try and reach Sauron, trying to get into contact with him to bring him out or something like that, or bring out his forces. That's kind of what it seems to be.
We must find a worm and make him talk.
We're going to show you some combat and some exploration in the open world. Here we're beginning...
That was a fucking big fall, by the way, compared to what we saw in Shadow of Mordor.
...near an orc encampment on the edge of the mountains near Cirith Ungol. And from here, we're going to go and get some intel on the orc forces. Dominating an enemy worm takes us into the army screen, where we can see that our target... get some intel on the orc forces. Dominating an enemy worm takes us in...
Okay, so this is the new army screen that we've got. It definitely looks different than what we saw in Shadow of Mordor. We've still got the rows of the captains here and so on, but I don't know if these are our followers up here. I don't know if these are the people that are going to be joining us that we see later in the game, because this looks like the shield men that he was talking about. So I think at the top here is our followers. Oh no, because these are going to be the war chiefs, but because the city is under attack, these guys are still in control here. And then after, I think, the city gets taken over, because they did say, Michael DePlata said in an interview with IGN, that we are going to see that transition from Minas Ithil to Minas Morgul in the game. So maybe because these are still in power and it's being attacked, we've got to find out who these captors are that are sieging the city. And then once the siege is complete and we escape, these people get replaced up here. That's what I'm going to assume anyway. But these are our followers for the time being, but they're not always going to be there.
Into the army screen, we can see that our target is an Orc commander.
The captain leading the search is in the lower city.
Then he will go no further.
It said the lower city there. The city, they said, is going to be on 3 levels, with the poor areas being at the bottom, then the middle areas, and at the top being around the moon tower, and all that kind of stuff. As you can see, the different levels in the distance, it gets higher and higher as it goes around. Like in Minas Tirith, there's 7 levels. Kind of a very Romanesque thing to have, the poor at the bottom and the rich at the top.
Your mouth shut.
As we approach the city, we can see how we can use combat opportunities to defeat our enemies. The Orc grog barrels make great targets.
Very similar skills here. What is different though is at the bottom, which you can't quite see because of this time bar, is the new oath bow meter, where it says 5 out of 5. You'll be able to look at it after I've clicked play. Pretty similar abilities here. Combat doesn't really seem to be that much different. I'll point out some new abilities when we get into it. And the focus bar is not on the side either. That's also along with the actual aim assist of the bow. But the counter's here. I said in the last video that the counter's not going to be there, and that it looks like they've taken it out. In this new gameplay, they've got it in, so which is all well and cool.
Target their captains. He's close.
The Wraith world will reveal his presence.
Here we can use our Wraith vision to identify the Orc commander and learn his strengths and weaknesses.
Zathla.
The city is going to be kind of cool to climb around and explore, I think, Minas Ithil, because we don't really get really tall structures or city. We got, the towers, obviously, in Shadow of Mordor, but nothing really to kind of run around and really use that free jumping apart from really the Orc encampments. A lot of the world was kind of like just open, kind of wastelandy areas. With this, we're actually getting a city which we're going to be able to jump around and really mess with and get a lot more comparisons to the Assassin's Creed free jumping system.
The new urban environment creates a lot of verticality and new gameplay opportunities for stealth and movement.
New climbing jump there, just wanted to let you know that.
We can see the commander is training enemy forces for the assault to come.
Alright, form up!
Now in Shadow of War, the Nemesis system is much more seamlessly integrated with the story. So this commander will be unique for every player. And in Shadow of War, Talion is not just fighting on his own against the Orc hordes. We're going to meet a lot of new allies and fight alongside.
So these here are the follows that he's roughly talking about here. So we're getting a lot of, this is a new major thing in the Nemesis system, to have follows, to have these personal stories with. So there's one here. This guy looks like one of the people that we saw in the beginning, roughly the beginning of the video. Here, one of the guys at the top. Yeah, he does that. Looks like him on the right. So yeah, these are the people that are in control of the city at this moment in time. And we'll be able to... basically, this is going to be replaced at the end of the siege when we leave Minas Ithil.
An army.
We will bury you all!
Combat doesn't look too different at all, really. Just maybe a couple of polished moments with some of the sword strikes and things like that. And it maybe looks like executions have gone. I'm not too sure about that, but there wasn't the red flaming thing. Or maybe he doesn't have that ability yet because it's so early in the game. But if I had to wager a bet, I'm going to guess that's what it is. Another thing that I'm kind of a little bit unsure about, actually, is if you look at the enemy, the mini-map here, sorry, then you look at the enemy areas here, we've got these little yellow arrows to the left of us, which are the people that we're fighting, the orcs that we're fighting against. And we have the orange ones as well. I don't know what's the difference between orange and yellow, because our followers are the people who are the people who we're not killing here, the people in the black arrows here. So I'm kind of a little bit unsure what's the difference between the two. If you notice as well, the combat prompt to press Y if you're playing on the Xbox controller is gone. For the counter, it's just literally just a flash above the head, which is pretty much the same thing as you can see here. Just a flash, no telling you what button to press, which we had a lot in Shadow of Mordor.
Idril is a shield maiden of Gondor.
Sealing the gate! Move out! Move out!
Let's follow her and help the Gondorians as they retreat to the upper city.
Yeah, we definitely get a sense of the verticality of the city here, going up and down different areas. And also, you know, we get to see really what the culture was like, or in a way, of Gondor before the siege happens. You know, seeing all these fancy buildings and everything. It's going to be very strange to see the city crumble after what really has been kind of looks to be a pretty successful city before this point, and we know what it becomes. So it's going to be quite daunting to see what really happens there in the transition. Because the Witch King, I'm going to guess this is where we're going to see the first time we're going to see the Witch Kings at the end of this, when he transitions the city into the place where the Nazgul are going to be living, in the Tower of the Moon. And that's where we see them leave in Fellowship of the Ring.
We can get a really good idea of the epic scale of the city and the battle that's taking place here.
It's not much further.
This city is Gondor's last line of defense on the borders of Mordor. We've reached the gate.
New ability here. We're defending the gate, but we didn't see anything like this before. Obviously, it's going to be a Wraith power using Celebrimbor, and it's just a sweeping attack to take out 3 of them, and it looks like it knocks down the lesser powerful enemies.
And Talion can hold off the Orc forces, giving the Gondorians a chance to retreat. So that was a quick run-through of one section of the open world in Minas Ithil. However, the city is absolutely enormous, and it presents many more opportunities for gameplay, story, characters, and exploration.
Graphically, the game is looking tighter than what we saw in the 15-minute demo as well. Especially in the cutscenes. Like, these new armor sets are fantastic in my opinion.
Everything from Celebrimbor's hidden barrows.
This is, my opinion, the best part of the demo of this video that we saw here. And the barrows seem to be a new thing. They kind of seem to be taking the artifacts idea of what we got when Shadow of Mordor, when, you know, Celebrimbor would pick it up and Talion would scream and go a bit mental. And the ones that we'd find as well, artifacts around the world where we'd pick them up and get a bit of lore from them. This seems to be a new form of that, you know, a new idea of that. To be able to, you know, get the whole Barrows thing, to be able to replay some of the past of Celebrimbor is going to be cool to see, especially if it's going to have the same amount of Silmarillion in there that Shadow of Mordor had, because there's still a lot to play with, obviously. It's going to be a lot of fun to be able to play through that kind of stuff, because we got to play through some of it in the Bright Lord, and being able to recall back in time to go to different areas is going to be fun. And Barrows, I think, is a cool, new, unique idea that we're going to find and be able to explore and get some really weird lore stuff, nods to people like me who really like this kind of stuff.
To pitched battles in the arena.
This is Game of Thrones fighting pits kind of style, Colosseum, Romanesque, you know, being able to go in and fight a really powerful orc, and maybe manipulate the Nemesis system in here as well, but this is like a side activity, I think, what we're getting in Minas Ithil.
Arena. To taking command of enemy siege beasts and decimating the enemy army.
This is cool. I like this all new stuff about having new effects of being able to wipe out the battlefield, you know, manipulating the enemy war kind of machines that we've got here, and also the dragons and things like that. They've really escalated what we can do in a fight now to take out and cause a lot of damage, which I think is a nice idea.
And of course the Nemesis system.
Your city will burn. The scourge of man will be cleansed by fire.
We're looking forward to showing you much more gameplay from Minas Ithil and the rest of Mordor, but thank you very much for watching this first reveal.
Okay, so that's that. So, all in all, I think it was a good video. I don't think it was as good as and as impactful as the first one. The first one, obviously, is showing the brand new thing of taking down the fortress of Mordor, of different ones in Mordor. The one we saw with Saragost in that gameplay. In this one, I don't think we're going to have a fortress to take down in Minas Ithil, because I think that's going to be a siege that's going to be taken over, and that we're actually going to lose that one, and then that's going to lead us into this whole new area of taking out fortresses and taking out different areas for ourselves. I think that's what's going to lead to in the story, and I think that's kind of a nice way to do it as well, to be able to see such a cataclysmic event at the start of the game and be able to move on from there is going to be cool to experience, and it's going to be fun. I also think as well that in the video we don't really see a huge amount of improvements when it comes to combat. There's a lot of new abilities and stuff like that, like sweeping, sword strike and everything. We've got the Ring of Power abilities that we're going to use and all that cool stuff. But at the same time, I just don't really think that there is enough there in the core combat gameplay and the core open world gameplay to warrant it being an improvement for a sequel. It does look, there was areas of that when I was watching when it did look like Shadow of Mordor, you know, manipulating the Nemesis system to be able to gain intel. And I do get the idea of if it's been broke, don't fix it, but it would have been nice to see some nice new little combat abilities in there. I'm not saying that they're not there at this point, it's just that we really haven't kind of seen them yet. What we are seeing is improvements on, though, is the stuff on the side. Like, these barrows look really cool, fortresses were taken down, dragons, siege beasts, and things like that. All that stuff is really cool additions. But what I said on the GNM podcast, that's going to be out in a couple of days, is that the game isn't going to have that real, you know, adoration that, you know, some sequels have had in the past. Like, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be the Arkham City to the Arkham Asylum. It's not going to be the Assassin's Creed 2 to the Assassin's Creed 1. It's going to be an improvement, I think, in a lot of areas and some cool stuff to manipulate and run around with in a game that's going to be really fun. But I do think the average gamer early in the game is going to run around and think it's kind of the same as Shadow of Mordor. And I'm a little bit skeptical of that really being the case because of all this cool stuff that we're going to get later on. It's just how well they're going to show that stuff in the early game. And it doesn't look to me that we're going to be able to see that stuff until we've left Minas Ithil. And if we believe them that the zone is big and there's a lot to do in there, it's going to be a while till we leave Minas Ithil. Another thing that I'm curious about as well is that we saw all these different fortresses in the Shadow of War, the first area when I was going through them all. Are all these areas zones? I was kind of assuming so, but it kind of seems like then it's going to be a really fucking big game. If we're going to get Minas Ithil as one of them that we're going to lose, and then we've got all these other ones as well with all these lights in the air. There's about 9 or 10 zones there. That's going to be a lot of game to play, a lot of stuff to do. So we're going to have to wait and see what really that's going to be about, but yeah, like, I definitely looking forward to hearing more. I thought the interview that Michael DePlatte had as well, like, if you want to go and check that out, I'll put that in the link in the description below, was a lot of cool new information there of how they built the city, the inspiration that they looked at, and some of the new stuff in the game as well. But that's really all I've got time for in this video. Let me know what you thought of it as well, because I know that the reception of this one has been kind of mixed, especially for these kind of combat areas. Let me turn it down. These combat areas where, you know, it does look pretty similar, maybe apart from the new abilities and things like that. Maybe they made it a bit harder, I suppose, but that is something that I think is going to disappoint people, where there's not going to be enough improvements to the core aspects of the game, which you do spend a lot of the time doing. But this stuff looks different. Having follows as well is enough different. There's enough different there for me, personally. From a personal point of view, I'm looking at this and I'm excited for the game, because I do think that there's enough there for me to warrant a sequel. It's just, I think a lot of people in the core gaming market are going to see and play the game that they played before, and it's not going to be as impactful to them as it is going to be for people like me. So let me know what you think in the comments below of the gameplay of the video that we got, and if you watched the interview, let me know what you think of that as well. And I'll see you guys later. Please like the video, and hopefully you'll subscribe for more Shadow of War content. Goodbye.